Hi, Gwen.
Hi, Abby.
I'm so happy
Thank
you're here.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're tuning in, calling in, voicing in from my hometown. Makes me a little bit jealous.
Yeah, but it won't be when you know it's like 30 degrees out right
That's
now.
true. That's true. I did just come back from the East Coast and it was freaking freezing.
Yes.
I forgot. So there are so many pieces of your story I want to get into, but why don't we start at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey? How did you end up in really lifestyle? How'd you end up in lifestyle?
So, I've been at it for a few years.
Yes, which I love.
Yes, I'm a veteran at this point. I started my biggest and largest life entrepreneur journey in 2002 when I launched the Laundress in 2004.
And what
Um,
was even the idea? Like what brought you into that idea?
so I studied apparel design at Cornell, and part of our curriculum was taking fiber science and learning about all the textiles and the properties. And with that was washability and care and or with the principles of fibers. And so I had a design degree and that's what I was going to do. And I started in women's design for Ralph Lauren. And then my, the bulk of my career at Ralph Lauren was in home design. So I sort of transferred my textile skills to the home department. And I loved my job, absolutely loved it, loved the company. And while I was there, I had this epiphany, this like big idea that um, I was now buying my first pair of jeans that were $100 and a t-shirt for $60 from Barney's.
Hmm?
And that was a significant part of my paycheck, and they had
Yes.
to last. This was no longer the three pack from Hanes. And I was not going to lose my investment from yellow pit stains or faded jeans.
Yes.
This was serious stuff. I was also, amassing my cashmere collection from the sample sales, and all of the care labels said dry clean only. But because I had this background and studied the properties of textiles, I knew that wool and cashmere and all those yarns were very washable done properly. But in our US product landscape at the time was Tide, Woolite, and the dry cleaner,
Yeah.
which I also couldn't afford the dry cleaning.
The dry
I'd
cleaner.
rather save up the money for the t-shirt
Like dry
than
cleaning has its own budget line in my
yes,
budget, and I'm like very angry when I look at it, you
yes.
know?
After you're familiar, you maybe can reduce that line item with more washing.
I will just tell you a quick sidebar that my grandparents owned dry cleaning business, and they were very successful in the middle of Ohio, and so we have a lot of like laundry rules in my home and in
I
my
bet.
family, and like
I bet.
like mustard is the only thing you can never ever get out, no matter what you like. There's a lot of things, so I do have an appreciation for the dry cleaning business. However, the prices have gone way higher even
Yes,
now. So,
yes,
okay,
yes,
sorry,
for
I digress.
sure.
Go back
We
to you.
will forever support your grandparents.
Yes, exactly.
um, but it just wasn't, the line item. I'd rather spend it on clothes than on care. And fundamentally, it was much healthier for you at that time. There's a lot of dry cleaning legislation that shifted since then, so it's less problematic as it was many years ago. Um, but it's not the best thing for you either. Um, and so I started this big idea and researched and went down the rabbit hole and came out on the other side of it with what was the laundress. Um,
Great name.
yeah, so I launched in 2004 with $100,000 SBA loan. Um, I was 13 products, and that was all fabric first focus. So for cashmere and for delicates and this my famous stains and the detergents and everything that could care. And it was really the first and only fabric first formulas, whereas the traditional products were of the one size fits all methodology. And they were chemically created with the number one priority was that you could wash as many items together with the least problem results, and with uh, the the feeling of freshness,
Right. Right.
maybe it wasn't fresh, but it was the feeling of freshness.
Or it had a very strong fragrance of
Yeah,
fresh, whatever that is.
exactly. Fresh, which i.e. was them communicating that it was actually clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you started with 13 products out the gate.
Out of the gate, and then added like another three soon after.
Wow, that's a lot to
It's a
get
lot.
started.
It's you count.
How did you get started? Who did you go to first?
First call was to Cornell. I wrote a professor who I never studied with because she worked with the PhD students in fiber science. So she was like well beyond my my course curriculum.
Okay.
But I knew she was a dean of our department at one point when I was there, and for some reason I just knew that she had her PhD was in detergency and she was the expert. So I've reached out. I said, hey, I don't know if you remember me. Um, this is when I was there. This is what I want to do. Would you be willing to give me some time? Um, and she was like, absolutely. Let me know when you want to come up to campus. And this woman is, such a gift and a true educator who cares so much about her work and educating others and gave so much of her time to support the Laundress from the beginning and still to this day. I'm in touch with her and
Wow, I've never heard of someone getting their PhD in detergency, was it called?
detergency. Yeah. So she was,
Oh,
a chemistry expert, but she had a concentration and no pun intended in detergent.
detergency. Oh my God. And then, I mean, were you trying to sell to B2B, B2C? How were you
So
going?
it was all the above, but you have to remember what 2004 looked like. I mean, there weren't Whole Foods. There was one Whole Foods in Texas. Amazon um, was
Like it
still
just
selling.
moved out of
Yeah,
books primarily.
exactly. They were
Yes.
still selling books. It was an incredibly different landscape at that time. Still, it was like the very end of big department store holding court, and it was kind of like if you're not in one of those, like you're insignificant. And because I was creating this category in itself, you know some of the majority of the department store buyers were like, we don't have a soap buyer. Like, it was so focused and
Yeah.
so nuclear, and we're like, you have housewares,
Right.
you
Like
have
they have to
bedding,
keep those clean.
like you have a million departments that my product complements.
Mm,
And it was just like so specific. And what there was, you could find the one person who could see outside of the
yes.
box.
Hmm.
Luckily that was Bergdorf Goodman. But it was really grassroots, knocking on every door at the trade shows, which is now what's considered like New York Now or Shop Objet, those trade shows
Hmm.
for small brands. Um, 20 plus years ago, it had a different concept, but that kind of show was where I launched. Um, and so that's, meeting local boutique owners. So the real business really grew from these small boutique owners who saw it and got it and understood that care complemented their what they were selling, complemented their categories and their work and their stores. So I'm so grateful for all of the small business owners that I worked with, and that was really how a big way that we built our business. And you're also having a direct dialogue with the owner or the buyer of a sort of small local store so they can share and explain and educate the buyer, from the customer about the product. And we did start D2C as well, which wasn't called D2C. It was called I don't know,
Sure.
online shopping. Like,
Right. Okay. Which we still call it.
like it wasn't like its own business category.
Mhm.
Um, and everyone thought we were crazy as well, shipping a liter bottle of liquid. That was not done. We
Hmm.
shipped a book, but
Right.
not a box of heavy soap. So there was a lot of ahead of its time.
You were ahead of your time.
I
It's
was
it's
so
you.
ahead, I was so ahead of my time, um, and with that mission of trying to get rid of dry cleaning in my formulation and development, I was developing on the principles of a luxury brand of my Ralph Lauren background, where you're using the finest materials and the finest craftsmanship, and you're not compromising that quality. And so that opened up it basically presented me an eco-friendly product because the best ingredients were the plant-based ingredients, but nobody used them
Hmm.
because they were more expensive.
Hmm.
And here I was formulating not to comp Tide, not to sit in the grocery store. I was sold everywhere but the grocery store. And my value proposition was only a few cents more than Tide, maybe 20 cents more per wash,
Right.
but that afforded me the ability to use all these incredible ingredients, all plant derived, and I ended up with this incredibly clean, um, eco, whatever you want to call it, formula that was unheard of,
And
with the best efficacy. I mean, my
yeah,
stuff
that's what I was gonna
worked.
say. Yeah. And
So
also the amount of money you theoretically, as you're explaining your value proposition, that you're saving on quality clothing by using your product is
absolutely.
far more than 20 cents a load. The math
Absolutely.
makes total
Absolutely.
sense.
Total sense. So, you know, coming out to market in 2004 with a $20 bottle detergent was like, what? But
Hmm.
it was concentrated. You got a lot out of it. And there was, in 20 years, not a single customer complaint about it
Hmm.
not working, about any issues. It was like, I laughed that the only return I ever had was an empty bottle of the Lalabo collaboration detergent that was empty. And they're like, I didn't like the scent. I
Of
was like,
course.
uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah,
much
sure.
so.
Your
Yes.
$45 detergent's empty.
Oh my God. She's like, I'm not an idiot. I did spend $45. I'm gonna first empty it before I send it back to you.
Like,
And you're
so,
like, okay.
mm-hmm.
Can I ask you before we move on to the future of the laundress, who was your first hire and how did you decide who that was going to be?
Oh my gosh. My first hire was an intern. I had interns throughout the development, but we had a full-time intern who became the first hire. And as far as I know, she's still with the brand. So
Oh, wow. We'll get into
yeah,
that then. Okay.
yeah.
So everything keeps going
They're
up,
not
up,
allowed to
up.
talk to me anymore.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know that there's legalities, but I think that part of it has lapsed so that you can talk about it.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So the success of the laundress becomes skyrockets and everything's going great.
Well, it was a 16-year skyrocket. That's not really a rocket ship. That's a
That's true.
slow burn
Okay, it was like
bootstrap.
the slow boat up, right? Okay, but 16 years and
16 years.
ultimately were you approached or did you know,
Yes.
was there a point where
Yes.
you hit a level of success where people were like, you can sell now?
No, never. It was, um, to be very clear and very honest, especially with your audience, it was a 16-year ultra marathon through hell. Like, it was nonstop, underfunded, verge of like economic collapse at any given moment.
Wow.
Um, very, very challenging business partnership. It was a very unhealthy, let's say it was 16 years in total. it was incredibly unhealthy for all of it, basically.
Wow.
Actually,
Wow.
even before, because even the 2 years before, I was just like working like a complete manic.
Obsessed with all of this stuff, like
Well, I
eating
was
it,
working
sleeping
full
it.
time and working every morning, every night, every weekend. Like I worked 20 pounds off of myself. Like that wasn't healthy from the get-go.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, how were you coping in your real life?
It was very unhealthy.
Okay.
And it was, um, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody or encourage anyone to do that. Um, I say that I was a competitive gymnast as a child, so I was used to torture
Mm-hmm. And intense competition.
and intense
Wow.
something or other, intensity, let's say,
Were you able to
intense
also,
pain.
well, torture
Yeah,
is a
for
pretty good
sure.
one. Were you
Yeah.
able to step back and be proud of yourself at all along the way, or were you mostly hard on yourself?
No, not along the way, no. Because
Okay.
it was just like you had one win and then like you had the crisis at the same time.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Were there people in your life that were showing you that it was still a win or not so much?
Um, I was very private about the reality of what I was dealing with. So there were very few people and there was actually like nobody that understood the full reality
Mm-hmm.
of what I was dealing with. Like my mom found out that I had $250,000 of credit card debt when after I sold the company and I was speaking at the New York Times Center. She had no idea. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was a detail that was not for her information. She couldn't have handled it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have friends and they're your friends, but when I would spend time with like my closest friends, I didn't have the energy to even share.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't want to talk about it.
Sure.
So um I was really solo for a long time in my reality.
Mm.
And that a lot of that is informed my wellness journey was basically the journey that kept me going
Mm-hmm.
all those years. And I would send myself to the French thalassotherapy for a week and like get all these water treatments, which is in France actually covered by insurance.
Wow.
It's like all these sort of the things I could afford,
Yeah.
and a full immersive experience that I could like unplug from my BlackBerry as much as possible, really like have an emerging um like Humpty Dumpty put me back together enough to like go back out again.
Mm. And then you would do it all over again
And
to
then all
yourself.
over again.
Oh
Yeah,
my
all over
God.
again.
Oh my God. Okay, so how are you approached or how do you find somebody to buy your company?
Um, it's like a ridiculous story where someone walked in my store from Unilever.
And were they seeking you? I mean, were they trying?
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
the weirdest thing. He's like, starts talking to my sales associate. And so she calls me on the phone, or I'm in my office 20 blocks away or 30 blocks away. And he's in my store on Prince Street. And I was like, can you pass the phone? And I was like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
I have an office, I have a phone number, I have an email. Like,
Right.
why are you talking to my sales associate at my store? Um, so it was a really weird start, and I should have taken that as a warning, as like a organization that doesn't have their act together. But
Well, but the plus side probably felt so enticing at the
it's
beginning.
like the dream. And when I built this, I didn't build the store until 2016,
Mhm.
and so I I viewed the store as a marketing expense, which it truly was, because you never make money from brick and mortar, especially in New York City,
Yeah.
um, and especially selling $20 bottles
Right.
of soap. If I had coffee and soap, maybe it would have been better.
Right.
But it was a true marketing endeavor, but it was on my unfinished business list to really showcase the brand in the true vision, the true experience that I created, instead of on my website, on a shelf at Bloomingdale's, in the the ends cap of Container Store.
Hmm.
It was, this was the unfinished business, and so I always also viewed the store as the fly paper. Like, someday some guy will walk in and stick to the paper. Bless you.
Thank you. I muted just in time so nobody had to hear that. Um, okay, so he comes in, you're 20 blocks away. Are you like, call me, email me? Should I come down there? Like what
No,
are
yeah,
the
I was like, please leave my store and call me later.
Okay.
Like, call
And
me
he did.
back.
And he
He
did.
did. Yeah.
And how long from that point until the actual sale?
It was a 13-month deal process, which is a very long process that some usually like gets killed or gets stale too far in.
Yeah.
Um, so it was a bit of a minor miracle that it crossed the finish line.
When it crossed the finish line, what was your emotional state? Were you relieved? Were you terrified, anxious?
I actually had, oh, I was like, I had, it was all of it. It was like the disbelief, like the not comprehending, not understanding monetarily and existentially. Um, like, but at this, like the relief of uh, uh, the sale for me had to happen just to get out of this very unhealthy relationship and space.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I loved my job so much. I loved my business. I loved my brand. My brand was my baby. My
Hmm.
employees, like
How many
I had
employees
the
did you have when you sold?
about 30
Hmm.
with the store. I had to get rid of an employee at the day of the transaction, um, for legal purposes. And I was bawling,
Mm.
and like the heartbreak. I'm like getting emotional telling you this, 7 years later, but um, that was like these are like the devastating things that come with it.
Hmm.
Um, and so it was all of it,
It was all of it.
all of it. But then at the then I coincidentally was going on a trip right after, and I had a girls trip, and then I was meeting my husband to go skiing for the first time in like 25 years. And I was in Switzerland, and I was having like like chest pains. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe, and um, like just this overwhelming like pressure on my chest. And I realized that I was still pumping out so much cortisol
Mm.
from getting to the finish line, and I didn't have anywhere to put it anymore, and it was giving me this like physical reaction,
Wow.
manifesting in that capacity. And yeah, and when I was there, I spotted this pharmacy, like the European pharmacies
Yeah.
are like all like amazing.
Yes.
And I saw this pharmacy, and it had this entire wall of jars, and I knew it was all essential oil jars. And I walked in, and I was like, what's going on? And they were formulating tinctures and
Mm.
remedies from as the pharmacy from these oils. And I was like, I'm wondering if you can help me. I have this chest pain, and I explained what it was from and the anxiety and this, and they like put it in this computer and like spit out my formula and gave me this blend to spray in my mouth to calm me down.
Mm.
And it was incredibly effective. It
Mm.
was unbelievable.
Wow.
And that was, I had, worked in fragrance for all these years, developing the fragrances for the Laundress, and I dabbled in essential oils and aromatherapy, but this was like real moment of how powerful, if used properly, that that medium can be.
Mm. Wow. Okay. So we alluded to earlier, I think you said Unilever bought you.
Okay, yeah. So Unilever bought the Laundress in 2019. I had 2 years with the brand. And then I was contractually finished and not renewed. Um, and then Unilever very publicly imploded the brand.
Okay, so let's get into this. What was the first thing they did? And at what point was that within your 2 years or after?
Now, after I was
So it was like the
gone,
minute you left, they were like, now we're gonna do what we want to do.
it wasn't even to that extent. It was just like complete negligence and mismanagement. They were able to implode very quickly, very quickly.
Okay, so you'll tell me enjoy your water. There's no rush, but what did that look like?
So that looked like I was getting my hair done. It was November, and my girlfriend sent me a text from her Instagram saying, "What is this?" And it was an announcement that the laundress had a potential bacteria and um, was recalling the products.
Ugh. Ugh. All right, what's the first thing you did? You're like, the palpitations came back, and then
I was
like,
like, "What?"
yeah.
I actually texted the president of home care
Hmm. And what
with
did you,
some strong words.
yeah. And what had happened? It was actual bacteria?
No,
Oh, what was
no.
it? What was it?
Let me just say that nothing was ever proven as a
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
So that's the negligent and mismanagement.
Mm.
That's my
Oh,
party line. Nothing
that's your
was
part. Okay.
ever,
Okay.
nothing was ever proven to
Okay.
be problematic.
Okay. And so this
Read what did
continued
that mean? Read
a
between the
thousand
lines.
percent. I'm with you. Read between the lines. This continued. More implosions, more
So
implosions.
basically, what they did is they hit the panic button because of their own mismanagement and stopped selling. I had 85 SKUs at that point.
Wow.
They were questioning, I think, about 6 or 7 SKUs. The Unilever personally was questioning. Um, and they shut down the entire brand for 9 months. They didn't even sell like a laundry bag.
Oh my God.
Yeah, completely shut down. And
And
then
and I
yeah,
well, I
go
mean,
ahead.
I'm just thinking of you, like you're basically removed from it at this point, but I'm assuming you cannot remove yourself from it
I'm sitting
emotionally.
there, but Abby, I had a non disparaging agreement. So I'm sitting there with like a dirty sock in my mouth, gagged. Well, my sock was clean, but
Well, because you were using your own detergent. Um, oh my God. Okay,
yeah.
so
So I
so
couldn't say anything. And then like people were writing me on Instagram. I just washed my sweaters. I'm freaking out. And I was like, I can't say anything.
yeah.
I
What
cannot
did you say to the
reply.
were you
Like,
like talk to Unilever
no,
directly?
I just did nothing.
Did nothing.
I
Mm.
did, it was like paralyzed.
And were you at this point working in any other way, or were you like taking a breather?
I was totally in a breather. I needed, um, and this is the exit journey that isn't discussed very openly. I mean, there's aren't that many people to talk about it, but or who are honest about it. The after is the worst. And um, you're running 100 miles an hour, you go to zero. For me, in my circumstance, I gave I sold my baby. I tried to protect her the best I could for 2 years, which included my brand, my manufacturing partners, my global partners, my employees, all of it. And unfortunately, like I did what I morally had to do, but it was an absolute waste of 2 years to do that because the minute I left, like
It
the roof blew
imploded.
off, it imploded. So was it worth it? Like woulda, coulda, shoulda. I couldn't imagine actually walking out the door the day the ink dried, like emotionally, I couldn't imagine doing that. But I needed I needed to create space between that 20-year start to finish journey and separate myself from the Laundress.
Mm.
Because while the deal was public, but it's like not like the normal person's reading like the
Right.
acquisition wires, you know, like it was so publicly I wasn't even separated from the brand.
Were people, because I feel like I've seen you speaking on business platforms and, right. So were people still asking you to do that once you'd exited? And were you like,
There was some of that after the exit, and this was also um, notable that we were like the little engine that could. Like we had very high profile projects, but we were not in the business news because we never raised money. And the
mhm,
companies that were only that were like got the hot headlines were because of fundraising.
mm,
So
mm,
we all know about Rent the Runway, and we all
right,
know about Birchbox, and we all know about like all of these brands because it was like raise this, raise that, like all of this hype of like nonsense. And
mm,
by the way, where are those brands now?
right,
Gone or not profitable still.
right.
You know, that was a whole other frenzy where raising money was like your badge of honor.
Hmm.
Um, anyhow, another topic, another time. But so I was very under the radar, low profile, like did some lifestyle interviews here and there. I did a ton of how to cleaning tips. That was, you know, where I was in Real Simple and
Hmm.
all of that, empowering people to clean
Hmm.
and care and take care of their clothing, which, you know, is intertwined with caring for themselves.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I did some of that after the acquisition. Then I was like, and you know, then it was like, oh, you know, I got a headline. So then
Right.
I got put on the radar.
Got it. So in some ways it's like bad PR is still good PR. It
Well,
kind of
that was
was.
just the acquisition. The
The
Unilever
implosion.
implosion.
Yeah.
I did not do could not did not do any speaking until my non-compete non-disparagement agreement expired, which was 5 years. So five
Okay.
year
So
contract.
very recently, which is how we're able to talk about this right now.
Correct.
Okay.
And launch another brand.
And launch another brand. So let's talk about, by the way, I did not put this here in order for our intentionally for our podcast, but I do have a bar of your beautiful detergent next to
Yay.
me. I know it's just in a gift bag. Um,
Fantastic.
and how did the Fill, which is your current company, how did you decide you have to still go back to this?
Yeah. So I they imploded. I watched from the sidelines.
Did they change all the formulations as far as you knew?
So so I I watched to see what was going to happen. Were they even going to bother coming back to the market? And if they did come back to market, what that would look like. And my guess is exactly what they did, which to tell you and answer your assumption was yes, they went back to the Unilever file cabinet, pulled out the seventh generation formulas,
Uh,
wrapped my label on it
no.
with some bastardized version of my fragrance.
Ugh.
But they came out with like, I don't know, maybe 6 SKUs or something, like a you know, a ghost of my collection. Um, you know, they canceled the majority of my fragrance of my scents and made new
Oof.
crazy stuff. So like it's not the Laundress.
Right. But
What
you
is in
had
the
to,
market is not what I created, not what I made. None of it. None
yeah.
of it. It is
Okay.
a Unilever
Fake product.
bastardization
Right.
fake
Right.
products. It's like,
Bastardization. It's a good way
yeah,
to look at it. Okay.
yeah.
So the Fill, was that when, like, once you realized that was happening, is that when
Yeah,
you,
so they did what I expected.
yeah.
Then I was like, oh, please don't. Like, am I crazy? Like, I don't like. I did not want to go back in the laundry room. I felt personally that I had made the best product. I did it. I did it. Like I created this category. I created all this content to empower people. My work was done. but then it was gone.
Mm.
And I mean, my web, like all my how-to content was like edited by the Unilever legal team. So that's a
Uh,
bastardization. I mean, it's like, why bother even putting it on there?
mm,
It's like, um, so all of it was gone. And the heartbreak of my work and my legacy and the solutions that I helped and empowered people all those years wiped out.
mm.
um I was like, I can't believe it, I have to do this. And it was, really all of those things, but also I had such a diehard community. I had such a loyal, fought like a loyal consumer, that I felt that it was unfair to leave them high and dry,
Mm.
without the products that they trusted. And my products give people a mental freedom, that they don't have to worry about what they're cleaning their homes with. They don't have to
Yes.
worry about their laundry. They don't have to worry about this thing. And not even mustard. They don't have to worry about that. Like,
Full circle,
it's,
baby.
yeah, there's just like, we have enough mental load. We don't need your home cleaning and your laundry and your spills to
Right.
add to that.
Mm. So true. So, I mean, I can't believe you had the bandwidth after this emotional roller coaster to be like, I have to do this again. Did you go back to your manufacturers, your formulations? Like, what
I
was the
did.
first thing
Well, what
you
I
did?
did is I had a very insane, um what's the word? Um NDA.
Okay. Yes.
Sorry. I hope
It
you,
was so secret that you didn't even know what it was.
it was like you were not allowed to like tell your
Yes.
dog that I wrote you. So I had this like really exclusive NDA, and I was floating and I was calling all my old partners and saying, am I insane?
And I
And I,
assume they were like, yes. And you were like, who
yes,
cares?
they were
Yeah.
like, yes. And the answer was, yes, you are, but we will support you in any way, shape, or form.
Mm,
This is personal.
mm,
And every single person said that to me, because I was, I'm an honest operator. I
mm,
treated I call you here, I call them partners.
mm,
All of the people who I work with who bring my product to life, I consider a partner. I can't do this by myself.
mm.
Um, and they all had horrible experiences with Unilever as well. And it was personal and it was righting wrong. But I was very anxious about going back into business with like a target on my back, with like, this huge litigation that was going on, and, not needing any headaches from Unilever's problems. But
Sorry, pause. Did something move in front of your mic? Because now it's making a weird sound.
sorry, my
That's a,
my thing moved.
that's okay. Okay. No, no, no worries. I was like, it's all different. Um, okay. So, but you still said no matter what everyone says, I'm gonna do this.
It was it was the overarching response of, we'll support you and we'll
Okay.
do whatever you need. And that, to have that response over and over and over again, I was like, okay. Um, and so it was fun actually to go back and recreate a collection 20 years later, 20 years better, 20 years more
Yes.
mature. What is important to me? Formulaically, it was fun to be able to take advantage of some advancements. When I was formulating so long ago, there was no small production market for these materials.
Yeah.
Now there's like a zillion
Million.
brands. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the
Amazing.
grandmother to all of these brands.
Right.
And I do consider that. I consider all these people who have brands and innovating in this space. That's all my legacy. They're all there because of what I created.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud of that. Um, so there's just much more advancement, and much more market availability. So it was fun to kind of jump in and play around with that,
Mhm.
and kind of make things even better and more exciting. Um, but the business orientation is very different. So the Laundress was fine fragrance, it was perfume, it was making detergent smell beautiful and not like Tide and like all the gross stuff that we only were, that was the only option. But incorporating wellness and putting wellness at the heart center of cleaning, and that was where I was, and that was such a part of my business journey and my cleaning journey and my lifestyle business, was intersecting these um, disciplines and these mediums and bringing that together. And so the fill is centered on aromatherapy and essential oils, and really from that moment of cortisol crisis
In Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have to like go back there and bring them some of your detergents.
I know. I actually made a pilgrimage back, and they're not in the same location. They're like 20 minutes out of town. And I was like,
Oh,
we have to go. We
I
have
love
to
that.
try.
I love that. And the Phil is also a subscription model now, right?
It's a membership.
A membership. So tell me what the model is and why did you decide to do it that way?
Yeah. So in this quest of building differently and exhaustion of growing, scaling, D2C, all the noise, I wanted this very safe space for community. And I wanted to be able to have a brand that was quiet.
Mm,
I'm not bombarding you with emails and promotions and this and that. Like, I didn't want to fill anyone's mailboxes. I wanted this to be a very intentional space, and and safe and communal. And instead of selling hundreds of thousands of bottles, I want a smaller community of customers that are buying intentionally.
mm,
So um and I gave my know-how away for free
yeah.
all day long, everywhere, for the Laundress, and now my know-how is only for my community.
That's a
i'm
really
not
smart way to look at it.
I'm not out there TikToking and
Right.
doing it. I'm just not. I don't want
Yeah.
to do it. So this is intentional, and it's very private and intimate
And
for them.
are you happy with it that way?
I am. I
Good.
am. Um, so it's a membership. It's a $40 annual membership, and you can shop as you like, whenever, whatever. It's like, think of it as a Amazon Prime or whatever.
Sure.
Um, and that offers you a flat fee shipping, or there's $150 membership, which is a free shipping. So
Mm,
based on your um, you know user experience, then you can do your economics. And yeah, so I have content, and I do some fun activities in person and remote, and really have this wellness focused space. And in the fall, I launched my Substack, so that's part of the membership as well.
hmm
So
I love
to
that.
me, it's about providing value
Hmm.
to my customer in every way that I can.
Have you made peace with the Unilever piece of it or not yet?
I don't know if I'm ever going to.
Hmm. Yeah.
Not that I want to be like angry or grudgy, but I don't see how I don't, maybe if I meditate enough, maybe, but
I don't know.
oh, mushroom journeys, I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
But and what I've been speaking a lot on is corporate responsibility.
Yes.
And it is a responsibility, and treating a company, which is treating the customers and treating that entire supply chain. I always say 300 jobs in Allentown, Pennsylvania on the brink, of imploding because of a Unilever clipboard.
Right.
Like, that's not okay.
Right.
That is not okay. There is huge responsibility. It's not just like, oh, my favorite lipstick color is gone.
Right.
Like, there is a huge chain of events. And, I'm very passionate. You can hear me. Like, I've been really speaking aggressively about this everywhere I can, because founders should be warned. This should be out and discussed and over as loud as we can speak. That PE and VC need to act more responsibly. Acquirers need to act more responsibly. Like, this
Hmm.
isn't just like a spreadsheet or a logo on your portfolio deck.
Right. I love that message. Do you think you're going to stick with this for a while? You're going to stay in the space? I mean, there's no
I
way you're going to build a third one of these. That much I feel like
no.
I know. So
Oh
you're going
my
to
God,
give your
no.
all to this one right now
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stay in it for the immediate long term, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a business that I'm building to sell,
Right.
obviously.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
it's interesting, and it's so um building 20 plus years later, there's things that are so much easier and a lot harder at the same time, like to pop up a website and plug in a Shopify. Like, before, it was months and $100,000 for a
Yes.
website. I mean, that was like a massive, massive investment. It took months and was like so painful. So, like,
Right.
those comps of, and then, I have my Rolodex. Maybe it's been, I like, it would take me maybe a month to figure out how to get business insurance. Now I have like one phone call and it's done.
Yeah.
Like, there's efficiencies. And I have an incredible Rolodex of people now I can call. And when there weren't support business women's entrepreneur
Yeah.
groups my entire
Right.
journey.
I was just going to say the female entrepreneur landscape has literally 180'd.
Yeah, it's like, I need an answer, I write Entreprenista.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
all of my talent have been aggregated from Entreprenista members.
Hmm. I love it.
It's so different.
Yeah.
So those things are easier, but to get um customer awareness and attention that's where your downfall is. Where um I had the ability to build the Laundress with magazines and not paid ads, but because I was the how-to gal, there was no shortage of opportunity to be featured with a how-to helpful um, educational tip.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like an affiliate product placement. Like, there
Right.
was value into that content, and people would read it, get it, and purchase and have their own incredible experience at home. Now, I don't need to explain to you or your audience, but it's pay to play. How much money are you going to burn? Well, I'm not burning
It's
money.
crazy. It's crazy now. It's
Yeah,
crazy now. I think you get more for your money faster, I think, but like you're saying, but it becomes like a spending competition, and that's
yeah, and that's
terrible. That's the
that's not
problem.
sustainable and healthy business practices either.
Right. Right. Crazy. Well, Gwen, you're awesome. Thank you for sharing all of this. I can't wait to help you, share the implosion story. Is there any piece of like business advice or life advice that you want to close on?
So much is, love what you do. I mean, fundamentally, I do love what I do, and I did love what I did. Um, I love my brands and the people that I work with. And to me, this ultimate success is loving what you're doing and having a sustainable, profitable business that is yours.
Hmm.
And
Keep it yours. Keep
keep
it
it yours.
yours. Keep
And
it
you are
yours.
in control of your destiny and all of your upside.
I love it. Gwen, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you.